So it's kind of warm here on the farm this morning. Like if I'm looking at the temperature right now, it's 31 degrees Fahrenheit. The high for today is expected to get up to about 40 degrees, maybe 39 degrees, something like that. And I saw this kind of crazy report on the news last night about maple syrup. You see, maple syrup here in Vermont is kind of a big deal. Usually what happens is around early March or so, all the way through to like say mid to late April, folks are going out there and drilling holes inside of maple trees, and they're collecting the sap that runs out of those maple trees and then boiling it down and making the delicious substance known as maple syrup. You see, that maple sugaring process can only take place at very certain times of year when you have nights that are freezing, but then days that are above freezing, because that thaw freeze cycle is what actually motivates the tree to run its sap up and down. And now the thing about this news report though that I saw was
a winter warm-up has the sap flowing.
The trees are just responding to their warmer environment.
The idea that people were making maple syrup back in December and even making maple syrup right now is kind of crazy to me. Wouldn't you agree, Abby Dabby Doo? I know Toby does. I know Toby thinks that's crazy. Or perhaps it's just another sign that things are changing.
Please don't make this another climate change video. Please don't make this another climate change video. Please don't make this another climate change video.
And while I do in fact find it terrifying that people are out there making maple syrup right now, I'm also a little bit curious to see if it's something I can do myself. So in today's video, I'm gonna be tapping some maple trees much earlier than I usually do to see what happens. You know, for the last couple of days, the temperatures have been in the 40s and even creeping up into the 50s. Last night it got a little bit colder where it dropped down into freezing, but again, today it's gonna warm up, so the sap should be running. You know, my plan for this year was I was gonna actually try to make a lot more maple syrup than I have in years past, particularly because I don't have a day job anymore. But I had no intentions of starting the sugaring process until March at the earliest. Heck, I even ordered a new maple syrup evaporator that's not even coming here for another month. So I don't even know how I'm gonna boil down this sap if I collect enough to make maple syrup. And it does take a lot of sap to make a little bit of syrup. The ratio is about 40 to 50 gallons of sap to make a gallon of syrup. Morning, birds! How's everybody doing today? Oh, do all my birds look happy and healthy? I think they do. No eggs yet today, but I got 5 eggs yesterday, so things are starting to turn around. I even got a duck egg yesterday too. Release the quack egg! I don't even know why the ducks don't want to come out right now. It's time to get my daily serotonin boost by petting Toby. There's something so nice and serene when you give Toby pets. That's not to say it's not great to also pet Abby, but Toby's energy is very different. Toby is so serene and calming. There's just something very nice about starting your day with some gentle petting of the Toby dog. Abby dog has this much more energizing and playful energy to her, which also is really nice at times. It's like if I'm stressed out and anxious, petting Toby is exactly the right thing to do. If I'm feeling a little bit bored and low energy, then Abby's the gal you want to pet. They are like the yin and yang of Maremma sheepdogs. But I love you both very, very much. Would you look at that? Like, most of the snow up top has melted. Also, if you look at it, our pond is full. And if you look even further back, you can see that some of the pastures started to flood. This is always something that will happen on our farm, but typically this doesn't usually happen until like April. In fact, you can even see the new trench that Alfred dug this past fall to help the runoff from the pond go back to the stream. That channel is also full because the channel itself actually runs into the duck and goose yard. And so who knows, maybe later today, I'm gonna come out back here and see the ducks and geese swimming and playing in the water. I think they'd really like it. I don't want them going out to the pond or the pasture, and so I won't start opening that gate up over there until I get into like the April-ish time period. This is very unusual weather for January. And like I said, it's been a very weird winter overall. Climate change. Excuse me. Would you look at that? My cattle are eating grass at this point. I did not expect that one bit, but we should probably get our maple sugaring supplies and not get distracted. You know, I'm usually not even dusting off and organizing over here until we get to like, I don't know, late February, but here we are. Let's see if I can dig out my supplies. Okay, so for this experiment, I'm gonna need a couple of things. Number one, I'm gonna need my drill bit. Number two, I'm gonna need my spile, which is like the little tap thingy that once you drill the hole in the tree, you push this in. Then I'm gonna need a collection bucket, and I'm gonna need a collection bucket cover. Would you look at that? This maple bucket has actually maple seeds in it. Whirligig! And then as far as tools I'm gonna need this rubber mallet to bang the spile into the tree. I'll also need my drill to drill the hole for the spile. Now our farm is one of the few farms in this area that doesn't have a lot of mature maple trees. Actually, most of the existing mature maple trees that we have are right on the border with my neighbor's property. We really don't have a sugar bush, you know, like a collection of trees in a specific area, which makes it practical for commercial maple syrup production. Like I said, all we have are these stragglers down this line here. My theory is that about 30 years ago, somebody came in here and did a pretty big timber harvest of the maple here, and that's why we've got such low numbers. Like if I actually look at my forest composition, we do actually have some patches of younger maple that have sprung up over the last 20 odd years or so, but they're not large enough to tap. And realistically, I gotta probably wait another 20 years to get any sort of major commercial production. But if I'm looking on the bright side here, the nice thing is we do have a handful of mature maples right here along this line, and it's really close to the house, so it's really easy to access in the middle of winter. And I think for today's purposes, we're gonna target this tree right here. Would you look at that? Ginny Barncat just skilled that tree. What you doing, Jin? All right, let's get ourselves set up here. Now, one tip I'd like to offer you guys that I've learned over the years, if you're thinking about doing this yourself, measure off the distance you need to plunge the drill into. You don't want to push it in too deep on the tree because it can harm the tree. But what I like to do is I measure it off with some duct tape. That way I know what it is. And in case you're wondering what that measurement is, I'll leave it right here because I can't remember exactly off the top of my head. I'm just so used to using this drill bit here, so I don't remember. Now with the tree this size, I could actually put in multiple taps. I'm just gonna put this one tap right here on this side. And then probably later in the season, I'll add a second tap to this tree. There we go, we got a nice little sap hole here. Now with my hole drilled in here, it's time to add the spile. Now you're gonna wanna push it in by hand at first, then give it a few taps on the top to get it in there nice and tight. There we go, that looks pretty good. It doesn't look like there's any sap running just yet, but things need to warm up today, because like I said, it's still about 30-ish degrees, 31 degrees right now. You know, I've had times where on like a warm day after a cold night and I tap a tree like on that time at day, like as soon as I start to drill through it, the sap just starts flowing. But I don't think that's gonna be the case today. Now these spiles are designed with a hook on it so you can hang your bucket right on top. I like to use the old school metal buckets. I know a lot of folks use plastic. I don't like the plastic ones because they can crack and break. Because I'm doing this at a very small scale, I don't feel like I need to be running sap lines. Like my friends, the Kemptons, who live down the road from me here, they have thousands of trees that they tap, and so they have lines that are running, like I showed you guys in a video I made last year. For the scale I'm working at, I think the buckets are enough. I might experiment with doing some sort of line. When you run the lines into your trees, there's a lot more maintenance and thought you have to put into it versus the bucket is super simple. The advantages of the line is that you don't even have to worry about like going around to collect it. Like when I do the bucket method, I'm going around once a day and collecting all the sap, and then I store it, and then like once a week I'll boil it all down. If I had lines, I could collect it all in one single reservoir, and I could maybe even like not even have to bother with collection until that weekly time that I'm going to do my boil, which might make life easier. So we'll see. I'd be curious to hear in the comments what you guys think I should do. And so yes, that is how easy it is to tap a maple tree. As you can see, probably takes less than 60 seconds if I'm not talking to you guys. I'll check back in with you guys later in this video to see if I gathered any sap. Here we have a game of cat and cat being played by two barn cats in a tree. The younger barn cat is fearless and adventurous, while the older barn cat is much more cautious and is only about 9 to 10 feet above ground, while the young little scampy barn cat, she's a good 20 feet in the air. Uh-oh, it looks like the young barn cat has become panicked and is unsure of where to go next and how to get down the tree. But in her short life, she has had a lot of practice at this, so perhaps she'll be able to scale her way down and avoid the wrath of the older, larger barn cat. Now it's time to feed some hay. I'm finding that I have to feed the moms 3 bales for every 1 bale that I give to the kids. I find that to be a very useful metric because it lets me know how much hay I need to plan out for next year if I have calves on hand. Let's use the distraction of the hay as an opportunity to try brushing again. It's okay, Belinda, it's just me. Belinda's not afraid of me, but she doesn't seem to like it when I brush her. And Bonnie McMurray still remains the most skittish of all the calves. All right, I'll tell you what, sweetheart, I won't even try to brush you today. I'm just gonna hang out with you. Good girl. Hey, Ginny barn calf. Ginny loves these hay bales. I swear this is maybe my favorite way to spend a nice morning like this. Just outside doing some chores, hanging out with my animals. It's for an outstanding morning. By the way, I did want to just take a brief moment to mention that we continue to sell the popular Molly Murder Mittens t-shirt. I've gotten such cool feedback from you guys on it. I'm super excited about it. I think it's just a great shirt. You guys are gonna love it too, but remember, it's only available for a super limited time. I know everybody wants to get some of the old t-shirts, but I don't make them available once we go through the print run. So click the link down below, or there's gonna be a link at the end of this video. Check it out and get your own Molly Murder Mittens t-shirt. At some point, you're gonna get your own t-shirt too. I also know that Abby Dog's been angling for her own t-shirt. Let's check in on our sap bucket and see if the sap has started running. Like, as I'm checking the time right now, it's about 9:50 in the morning. I set that sap bucket up around, I don't know, 8:15 or so. I'm also checking the temperature here, and it looks like it's 35 degrees outside. So it's definitely warmed up now past freezing. Do you guys hear it? I hear it. It's an extremely faint sound, but it's the distinctive sound of the sap hitting the empty bucket. I'm pretty much certain that that means our sap is running right now. Let's take a look. Oh yeah, would you look at that? That is clearly sap dripping from that tree. Oh wow, we already have, I don't know, a couple ounces of it. Pretty good collection rate, actually. That's definitely flowing. What do you think about it, Ginny Barn Cat? I mean, that's pretty incredible to me to have sap running like this in early January. Most certainly not normal. We're gonna let this keep running. I am very curious to see how much sap we collect by the end of this day, but I refuse to make you guys wait, so let's see how much sap there is. Okay, it's now much later in the day. The sun's pretty much gone down past the horizon, and now let's head on over to our maple bucket to see how things are looking. As I'm listening to it, sounds like it's still flowing. Well, would you look at that? Yep, the sap is still dripping there. Not a ton, but definitely got some. I brought out this measuring cup so we could actually see exactly how much sap we collected today. Looks like I should have brought a second cup or a bigger cup, because it's definitely more than 2 cups here. Based on the remaining amount, I would say I probably got about 4 cups of sap here today. So I'll say I have like about 32 ounces of sap. If I converted that down, that means it's like less than an ounce of syrup if I were to boil that down right now. So it's probably not gonna be worth my time or effort to boil that down, but who knows? I feel like I have 2 potential options for what I could do. Like I said, I could boil that sap down and make maple syrup, or sometimes what we do on our farm is we'll just drink the maple water straight up. It's actually pretty delicious. But regardless, if you want to watch more of me making maple syrup, I'll leave a playlist right up here for you to go to, or you can watch something else, or you could buy the Molly Murder Mittens t-shirt right up here. And as always, thanks for watching, guys.